We did it.
Hello. We did it, fam squad. We did it.
Yeah, we're doing it today.
Yeah. Yeah. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day. So we're doing it today. Keep an eye on the Discord. You're going to see the full front. Just kidding. You're not.
What the fuck are you planning?
Nothing. I'm not going to do anything. I'm actually going to leave my phone at home.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm
you're
not.
going that hard, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to. Full frontal or beer. Uncensored.
You heard it here first.
Oh, the only thing that's censored is my feet. Because that's the money maker. Let's be real. That's where I'm gonna get all the big bucks and all that good stuff. Hey mate,
Onlyfeet.com.
only feet.
Only
feet. How you doing, mate? How's your week been? How's your last 2 weeks been?
My last 2 weeks. You cracked it.
Sorry, I just cracked it. Sorry.
We're gonna do it now.
Hold on, dude. Wrong way. This way. Yeah. There we go.
I got the blue V.
Oh, there we go.
All
right. W. Sorry, I saw it and I was like, ooh, you know what?
That's all right. I've done it before.
Chuffing this big boy down.
Welcome in, Joseph.
Joseph, good to have you, mate.
But yeah, last 2 weeks been good. Been pretty busy, but in a different way. Busy, it's been a good level of busy for me. I've been doing a lot of admin stuff, but also still able to be in the classroom and teaching and stuff. But had a good discussion with old Jeff today about how good the way I have been able to work the last couple of weeks has been. So hopefully we're able to continue doing that next year when more people get cross-trained and shit.
Yeah, for sure, man. I was... Sorry, I'm just trying to fix my...
Lucid, how are ya? Snaptrapper, welcome in.
Is making my hair... Not my hair, sorry, my head super itchy. But I think it's just because it's so fucking hot at the moment.
It is very warm at the moment.
And I've already complained about this before, but it's like that fake leather instead of the regular stuff. Sorry if I'm a bit quiet.
No, you're all good. I'm turning you down a bit.
Oh, okay, cool. Right. But yeah, it's so fucking hot at the moment. It's summer here. It hit summer yesterday. So it's warm here.
But how have your 2 weeks been?
Busy 2 weeks, mate.
Yeah.
I'm fucked. It's been a real busy 2 weeks. You guys have probably kind of noticed the tone down that I hit after an hour and a half of streaming. I get really fucking lethargic. So, we're out there. But we're getting there. We're done for the week, which is a big plus. I don't know what next week brings, but it'll bring something new. You know what I'm saying? Whoa, what's this? Oh, wrong way. That way.
What?
Little heart.
Oh, the emote, right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But it's been good, dude. I did Movember.
You did? How much did you end up raising in the end?
I was like, do I just donate an extra $9? Because I think I got $191 or something like that.
Nice.
Something super close. So it was pretty good. Not as hectic as Ness, which makes sense considering she spent 24 hours fucking putting in the hard yards. And what else is there? Outside of that, man, just work. Work's been busy. Work's been real busy, but it makes sense because near the end of the year and all that good stuff. So we're just kind of running.
But we've got 2 weeks to go until
just under 2 weeks before it's we don't have to worry about anything. We just have to do work, stock standard work, I guess. Marcus Attracts broke viewers. Yeah, it's all right.
For some reason, Niss's viewers just have money.
Yeah, they've got big bucks. Honestly, I don't know
And
what it is.
just throw money at her stream.
Which is epic. That's such a
and at least they did it for that too. Like, because she got over like a $500 or something. So
yeah,
all for a good cause.
But yeah, Snap. I did a charity stream last Sunday. So I did like a 10-hour stream. And I skill difference for sure. And I
stream it.
I dyed my mustache
pink mustache.
Mm.
That's why your hair is also that color. Right?
That's why I've got.
It's not a choice.
This side. So I'm looking at myself in our Discord right now, and it's backwards. So when I went like this,
it reverses the camera because it thinks it makes it easier for you, but it doesn't.
Yeah, fucking Discord, eh? But yeah, outside of that, man, just cracking into it. I finished God of War, and I plan on platinuming it. To be perfectly honest, tonight.
Sweet.
And going from there, but with that kind of conversation transition,
yes,
was that right?
Well, I mean, it was kind of a segue.
Yeah.
So today we are basically just talking about God of War Ragnarok. I have platinumed it, but interestingly enough, I haven't done everything because there's some stuff that I don't know if it's intentionally hidden or if it's just they didn't want to attach trophies to it. But either way, I've platinumed the game. Still got some more stuff to do, which I'll probably have a look at this weekend. But yeah, so the title of the stream is spoiler-filled discussion. So we are going to be talking about the game with no regard to spoiling anything. So if you are planning on playing the game or you haven't finished the game yet, maybe go away. But if you're not too fussed about it or you don't think you're ever going to play it and you want to hear about it, stick around.
The other thing is we're going to obviously upload this to YouTube, so if it's something that you want to watch
later on, yeah,
that's fine too. I am going to probably preface that if we get like some kind of raid, we just pause where we're at so that anyone who's in can be like, hello, we're ruining this game for everyone, thank you. So that's also another thing that we'll probably get amongst.
But where do you have somewhere you want to start?
From the beginning. Let's start from the beginning.
There was a man and a lady.
Yeah, indeed. Fuck.
And they made a little baby, Atreus.
So that's it. That's actually kind of a good place. Like, I think talking about beginning, I feel like the actual beginning of the game is one thing, but like finding out everything that was happening prior to the second, the
previous
first game was super interesting as well. I haven't checked. The only people that I know of that voice actors or motion captures are the guy who played Thor, Christopher Judge for Kratos, obviously, and the Sonny, the kid who plays Atreus.
Mm-hmm.
But who did? Hold on.
Who did who?
Faye.
I can't remember her name, but
is she the chick from Daredevil? The other. You know what who I'm talking about? Sorry,
I was thinking of Freya. Yes, Faye is Deborah Ann Wall, the chick from Daredevil.
Yes, yeah.
I was because it looks like her, and from the moment she appeared,
her head looks bigger in the game.
From the moment she appeared, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know she was in this game. I don't know if they said she was in the game or anything. I would assume not, considering it's Faye, and I don't think they said that Faye there was going to be anything to do with her in it. But she wasn't even in the credits, and I was like, huh, because I watched the credits because after the I guess we'll get there later on. Yeah. But after the last bit, when the actual credits, the black screen credits roll, I sat there and I was just sitting there like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then I was reading all the names and I was like, oh, she's not listed.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. I wonder why. Maybe it was to avoid no,
I don't know.
like it could potentially be to avoid like, and that's when you kind of talked about the like some things aren't showing up as trophies. There's a possibility that maybe it's because they are hiding stuff. They're doing that on purpose.
Mm.
Because if you remember, you'll know, given that you watched Walking Dead, but when there was that
Which
point
is
where
finished, by the way. Don't know if anyone
yes,
knew.
the most recent,
Yeah,
the last episode aired
we
like this week.
Megan and I binged the last like 8 episodes because
Nice.
we realized that it was done,
Yeah.
and we've both been watching that show like since it started. So
Mm. Yeah, I should get back into it, to be
Ah,
honest, just to like rewatch all of it. But
it's it's not good. Like Walking Dead has very rarely been a good show. The only reason I watch it is because I started watching it 12 years ago.
yeah,
So
and now it's like
it's done. So I'm gonna watch it.
yeah. But there's when spoiler for Walking Dead as well. When Glenn is like just like not there, and everyone's like he died. He died, didn't he?
No.
They got rid of his name in the credits
Yeah.
as well. And
Okay.
then the episode where he came back, they kept his name out of the beginning credits
Yeah.
as well. Just as a thing. And I think they did the same thing for the Hound in
Okay.
Game of Thrones. Yeah. So there's potential that they could have done something like that just in case like everything got leaked early. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a patch later where they do that. But with the achievements, it's probably just like for those of you who want to go the extra mile and find that extra stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about with the trolls, like
Yes.
there's no trophy for those.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
kind of just like they've added more stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. But back to the start of the game and what we were talking about.
So I thought that was a kind of a shock. I didn't think that you'd see her like, because that's like immediately after you get home, and it's like Kratos go to bed. He go
And
to
he's like,
sleep and have a
okay,
dream.
takes nothing off.
Yeah,
Fully armored up.
which is a real that. So when they go to Sindri's place, and I'm just gonna start. So at points I'm like pausing, but I'm just going to say things now.
Oh yeah, just
so
talk about
again,
we'll just talk about it.
Yeah,
We finished the game. We're gonna talk about shit.
Yeah. So when Atreus goes to Asgard, and
What? No.
and Kratos is like, I'm going to rest, and he like walks into the room, and he just like starts like taking off his armor, and he doesn't like hang his swords up like he usually does. He just like drops them on the ground.
Yeah.
And that bit there was super, like, watching that was like, this is like odd. This is a weird thing to watch, because that's him being very vulnerable.
Yep.
And you don't see him like that, like, ever.
No.
But he is very, very, that bit is very good. And I'm like, holy fuck, you are ripped.
What a jacked man.
You are disgustingly ripped. Like, and I just thought that bit was very impactful. And then every time, one of my favorite things about this game, in terms of like, is it technically still cinematography?
What?
Like, just like the cutscenes and how they go about like playing the cutscenes, I guess.
Or how everything's one shot.
Oh yeah, I suppose it is, right? Now that I think
well, it
about
is. It's the same as the last one. They made everything like a continuous camera angle.
Yeah, the bit where he puts the knife down, and then Atreus picks the knife up, and Asgard. And then the bit where Kratos is like punching the wall, he's like doing that thing, and then he like punches, and then it pulls back, and then the next punch is Atreus. I'm like, fuck, that's so good. It is. I was like, that was really. I think I messaged you, and I was like, fuck, that was a good. That like, yeah, the transition between the two of them was very, very good.
I was because after I finished it, I've been watching a lot of the game director. I want to get his name. Eric Williams, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of. He did like a spoiler cast thing with IGN, which I didn't watch, but he did another one with Kinda Funny, who are people I do watch.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that during playtest. So I want to ask you, when you're at Sindri's house and like essentially the first time you start playing as Atreus, did you, when the camera, like, because it's following him and Sindri as they're yarning, and then it stops and like you take over, did you take over straight away?
I think so.
Yeah, because I did too, but he was saying with playtests, like a lot of people sat there to like, they're like, oh, the cutscene's like, stop, it's not doing anything.
Because that, I suppose that's right, because that's the first time that you
that's the first time you play as him. Yeah.
I thought you were going more towards people waited to see if like there was any more dialogue that there was.
No, like they didn't realize they were now able to move him.
That is such a fucking like how I can't understand, like I can't fathom like the precise movements that you would have to do to be able to like trick people into thinking that it's just a frozen cutscene, you know?
But it also then made me realize, like, and I think I talked about it I was talking about it on Caitlin and Eli's stream, because they started playing it a little bit, but
yeah,
they haven't got very far into the game, but they're already in agreement that the game gives you way too many hints, and like it's, and I was like, oh, we're getting there.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Thank you for the raid, Scott.
Everybody, g'day, Scott. How are we, mate?
We're just gonna preface this by saying we are going full spoiler mode on God of War Ragnarok.
God of War.
So
and this is probably something that you want to avoid, given that you're playing through God of War 1 and will likely play through God of War 2. So keep that in mind.
We are just talking about, we've both finished it. So if you and anyone else you've brought along with you is going to play Ragnarok at some point, feel free to leave. We're going to put this on YouTube so you can watch it later on.
Yeah.
Once you finished it. But we are more than thankful for the raid. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
He's playing 2018 at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 5 seconds for Scott to leave.
All right.
Yeah, so we were talking about the hints, and like what I came to the self-realization, and the reason I feel like it's talked about a lot online is because the people complaining about it are like the gamers, like the people who know how games work, people who've played these games before. Like, you get it. But there's a lot of idiots in the world, and there's a lot of like people who just don't get shit. And clearly through playtesting and stuff, they've landed at this point we're at, where people need help with the puzzles a lot.
Well, my understanding of this sort of stuff, at least, is that what they did was they got their playtesters to play through it and to see how long it took them to figure out a puzzle, or like just whoever, and based on that time frame, would average it out and be like, if you're standing in this general area and looking around for X amount of time at that point, if you haven't figured out the puzzle already, then they'll kick it off.
3 audio. I genuinely think there was only one point in the game where I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? And then Mimir's like, you've got to throw the axe, brother. And I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, thanks, mate.
Yeah. I think it's funny because like the times where I would have enjoyed having a clue, they didn't give them to me. Like there are points where using the sigil arrows, I didn't realize that open flames could be used as an explosion.
Yeah, no, that the first time I had to do that, it was in Alfheim.
Yeah.
With the Nornir or whatever it's called chest. underneath the library, and I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to light these? And no one says use the braziers or whatever. So I went on YouTube and I found a video, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I didn't realize we had to do that.
Yeah, so my one was the arse end of Miflheim when you meet Sadru, how do you say his name? The fire giant.
Oh, Surtur.
Yeah. So it was like just before going into his like little arena that he created. There's like a chest, and it looks like the pillars are set up so that you're meant to shoot each pillar with
That one,
three feet.
Yeah.
But actually, you just use the brazier next to it, and that one took me a while to get. And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And it wasn't until after that one that I had gone back to the library, underneath the library, so I was able to figure that one out. But I still struggled to do it because the size of the radius things. Maybe it's just like my depth perception, but I couldn't grasp like at what like I know that the middle of them glows.
I just waited until they glowed.
Yeah, but I still was like, how like what's the radius though, and what's the point where like you know that it's gonna hit that point? Because it was a bit annoying.
The final Draugr hole. You finished the game, right, Joseph?
He has.
Yeah, you did say you have. Have you done like my last one? Oh, I think I might. My last one was in. Oh, where's Freya from?
Vanaheim.
My last one was in Vanaheim, where you have to use the spear to like jump over a thing. It's like you might not know. You don't even have to use a spear. It's like there's like a village area before you go into that fight where there's like all the Asgardians, but there's like there's one of those spinny poles that you throw the axe at, and you just spin it the other way, jump over, and then go around the side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the only other one I can think of is if you've done the crater in Vanaheim, because there's one there as well, but you have to go do you have to like release the dam.
The Vanaheim one was my last one. The one where you fill up the thing and go to the water. And that one took me fucking ages. That one was
was tough.
During the first so I didn't change difficulty until recently. When I was doing the berserkers, because I was just getting my ass fucking handed to me. But it's like it seems really odd, and I'm not sure if you noticed this, but the difficulty spike when going from the hard mode, not the god mode, the hard mode, down to like the next thing is huge. I was like hitting double the amount of damage like with the axe, which was cool, but also like I was like, I don't want it this easy.
Yeah, it's way easier.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of the opposite for No Mercy and God of War. Like the jump from No Mercy to Give Me God of War isn't that big. So it's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. That Draugr hole was fucking hard, man.
It was that other one, that other tough dude that's there, the one in the crater,
because he was fucking my shit up. So
and
it got to the point
he just keeps like running at you.
Yeah, and I was just like, bro, I need that's when I realized how fucking helpful the time rift thing was. I was just like, so that was throughout the entire game. That's the shield that I was using. So I just parry them and just be like, cool, now just lay as much fucking waste as you can, and then just do it again and just hope for the best. But it's a low perk chance based on luck, so I had to build a luck build for it to make sure that it worked properly. But it got to the point where when I got the dragon armor, I was just like, oh, I'm just going to use this. Like, I don't really care about the other stuff as long as my defense and my strength is high enough, and runic was all good. But yeah, in saying that, how did you feel about all of like the little like side mini bosses that you could run into?
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
It's they took the feedback everyone had from the last game about how every boss is just a different colored troll.
Yeah.
And everything is different. Like, sure, there's berserkers, there's the Draugr holes, and the dragons, I guess, are all similar types of enemy, but they're all, even the dragons, like there's a few different sort of attacks and stuff that they do. The berserkers, I found majority of the berserkers easy, but I think that's because, like with a lot of people who played the last one, like you're pretty good at memorizing patterns and stuff from the fights with the Valkyries. They sort of like prepared you for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, bosses are good, very good boss variety, even in the especially in the actual main campaign. Like the variety in bosses is crazy. I've never ran into you haven't done the crater stuff. Go do the crater stuff.
Yeah, so that's where you'll need to go to do your last Draugr hole, I guarantee it.
The duo berserker, wait until you see the one where there's three of them.
Yeah. That was my difficulty lower. That was when I was like, I have to lower the difficulty now because I just can't fucking beat this person.
Have you tried the king?
No. I beat it, and it was like after my stream on Wednesday, and we were getting ready for bed, and I was like, I'll give it one more honest to goodness try, and I fucking nailed the 2, like, because they had that shared pool.
Yep.
And then from there, I was running red, and just like ultra instinct kicked in, and I was doing nothing but perfect fucking parries, like laying into him, using Freya to like poison him. So I like saved the poison till like the end, so that I knew that I could like at least do a little bit of damage with that. But yeah, fucking I like a boss fight like that. I'm not sure could have existed in God of War 2018, because I feel like the movement in this game was a lot less tanky, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't feel so. I felt more. It felt more fluid, I guess, is probably the best way of putting it. But yeah, that was cool. Had your homies, baby. Couldn't be me.
Got a bit of water left. All right. So yeah, lots of enemy variety. Joseph, you need to go do the crater stuff, because that's one of the, like, when you first went to the crater, when I first went there, I was like, there's another fucking big hub area of shit to do. Fucking blew my mind.
It was also like, I think what probably happened to you, and this is what almost happened to me, was you ran into the area maybe at like nighttime, and the things were just fucking your shit up. Like, I had like multiple enemies like just one-outsing me the entire time. So you probably were like, I'll come back here later, and then you just never came back because you don't actually need to go there. But there's a lot of really cool lore in that area that you learn about, particularly about Fae.
I do wish there was a bit more to that.
It was still super vague. I think that was the issue that I had as well, is that there was not much, like, it was like, yeah, they had a fight, and it's kind of it.
Yeah, like, they don't, because like all it is at the beginning when you first fight Thor, and he's like, this is familiar. It's like, oh, that's why he said that. But that's about it. Like, Thor doesn't say anything else. You don't find anything else about Faye. It's just like, oh, at one point in time, Faye had the axe and she fought Thor, and that's why there's another lightning bolt.
It was her axe to begin with. It was always her axe.
But it's like, so, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen more or heard more about what happened there.
I'm looking a little bit out of focus. High five.
I turn autofocus off.
Hello. That's better. But yeah, I wish there was more. I low-key wish that, like,
Loki?
I kind of wish that they did maybe like a Garm tier or something like that, Gram tier, sorry, where it's like, hey, he's gonna show you, like, this is gonna show you what actually happened. And like it just gave you like a 30-second cutscene of them fucking one-outsing each other and then doing like the same exact thing that Kratos and him did when they threw the axe and the hammer at each other. Because then it's like, perfect. It's a mirror image. That's why it looked familiar, because it is familiar. And there you go. And that's all you need to see. And it guarantees that, yes, she was the one who did it. But yeah, I don't know. There wasn't even any conversation around like her being in Vanaheim.
No,
Like,
it's like the only way you piece it together is from doing all those side missions from the ghost dudes.
Originally, when I got there and they bring that up and you talk about it, I was like, does each area in what are they called? Not like in the realms. Does each area in the realms have like, were we that powerful that we created it in each area? And that's what my original thought was. But given that doesn't make sense, because each area is in a mirror image of each realm was in a mirror image of the other, just for certain people, you know. Yeah, that didn't quite make sense, but I was like, interesting.
But yeah, that's one of the other bits where I'm like, oh, they could have done a bit more there, but
yeah,
maybe we'll see more. I don't know. Another thing I saw in the interview with Eric Williams was, he was like, there's no plans for DLC. They're not planning on doing, like, they never planned on doing anything additional for this game. It's like, he was like, it's a big game. Like, there's a lot in the game. They never planned on having extra stuff to add on later. So we might not get anything. They have kind of left it up in the air with what Atreus is going to do. I would like to see what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, I think what they'll do for that is similar to how they did Miles Morales, where it's like its own game, but it's like a 10-hour campaign or something, maybe a little bit more full. But I mean, the kids.
Did you like playing as Atreus?
Yep.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
I thought that because they could have gone one of two ways. They could have just been like, cool, entirely range. You're basically doing like a third-person shooter with him. But he was way faster, which I really liked. He was also like, I was worried that it was going to be like, he's using a bow to do the damage, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be really like, the main thing is doing the damage by shooting people, but he wastes people. Like his melee damage was better than Kratos's, like, in my opinion. And it was faster and way more fluid. But I think maybe there were some things that I was like, I'm not too sure. Like, when you get Ingrid.
Well, that was what I was going to say. It's like, when Odin gives you Ingrid, I was like, sick. We've got a melee weapon. We're going to start using a sword. Nah. Yeah,
it's just your
it does its own basically. Thing.
Yeah. Which was cool. Like,
it was cool.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was nice having an additional like person in those areas that wasn't just like an NPC, like Thor or Thrud. Yeah. So yeah, I did like playing as Atreus. I also loved his dodge, the little twirl that he does, the like little jump back like twirl. And I felt like I could do more of the ability stuff with him. You know what do you know what I mean? Like, it felt like I was like when I was dodging, I was like, cool, now aim R1 and you'll slow down time, you know, that sort of stuff. Like, I felt like I was able to do that. Whereas with Kratos, I was never comboing. I was just either spamming one or the other. I wasn't doing like R1, R1, R2, R1, R1, R2, you know, like.
That's why you need a cooldown build, bro. No.
Yeah, true. No. Fair enough.
No, it was the same, because it's it felt like every time they were like, "You're Atreus now," and then whenever you got into combat, it was like, "Cool, have fun."
Yeah.
And you just got to do cool shit. And then
Yeah.
how his Spartan rage, you turn into a wolf. Like that's cool.
It almost felt like, and maybe now that I've said it, now that I'm thinking about it, and now that I'm saying it, it probably makes a bit of sense. But it kind of felt like the old games, like with how quick the movement was, and how like dynamic the combinations stuff was. I mean, not to undermine Kratos and all of his arsenal and everything like that, but it did feel faster, which was probably why I'm referring to it as thing. What did you think of the characters? All of the characters that got introduced, considering it was basically Brock, Sindri, Freya, and Balder and Moti and the other guy. In the first game, there was like no one.
Yeah, they did add a lot of characters. I think
Yeah.
some of the characters could have been. I know why they weren't expanded on more, but I think they could have been like Haldisvini. I feel like he should have had more.
It was a very much a hello. You remember me?
You're the pig. Okay,
Yeah.
sick. And then that was it. Even at the end, like when everyone Atreus meets is like, "We love you, Atreus. You're so great."
Did it.
Hi, Haldisvini.
I'm so proud of you. Hi, Haldisvini. Goodbye.
That's it.
He's with Mimir. So like to follow up Mimir.
He's standing
like
there watching you and Mimir having this like deep and meaningful.
Like this real deep and meaningful, and he's just like, hello.
Nice to see you, Atreus. And then nothing. But it was
even Sif had something to say to you, and like,
exactly.
He only had like a handful of conversations with you, and most of it was just "fuck you,
fuck you, you killed my sons." But like, yeah, Haldisvini was one, and I like you messaged me as well about Surtur and how I think they should have done more with. I mean, there's a lot of things they should have done more with. Those two for me, especially.
I think Seder was when I met him. When you meet him for the first time, he's just like this fucking force. Like his instantly, like when you walk up to him, he's just like nah, and you just go flying. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. Why weren't you introduced earlier doing that and being like, I'm not gonna do this? And then there's a point where you have to like, hey, if you now that we've killed Heimdall, you know what we have to do, like that kind of something like that. I don't know.
Or even how he talked about how he's got, I forgot her name, like her heart, and it should have been like, oh, we need to go talk to her, and like, and then you go
get her to convince him,
or something. I'm sure this I'm sure they would have thought about that at some point, and then for whatever reason they couldn't do it. But other characters, like I loved Odin. I thought Odin was fucking great.
Yeah.
I've haven't looked at much online, but I saw something earlier on Reddit about how some people apparently don't like how he's not. No, it was fucking Angry Joe.
Fuck, I hate that.
I hate that cunt too. But apparently there was like a comment because he put his review up today. I didn't watch it because I hate his fucking viewpoint.
I hate that he looks like he's from 2007,
and his videos haven't changed. No, he has not changed. But what the top comment on the video was like, "I love you, Joe, but I disagree on your point of view with Odin. I thought Odin was great." Blah blah. So Joe obviously didn't like Odin, but I thought Odin was great. He's done really well where it's just like he's a guy who is unassuming. He's again, it's Odin, so he just wants to know everything.
Like a very calm charisma to him. But he's also like, I feel like he reminds me of Doc Martin from Back to the Future, where he's like an eccentric old man who is far smarter than everyone takes him, than like people realize, and now that people are realizing, that's where they're like, oh, I've been manipulated my entire like life, like, and with like obviously with Thor starting to realize that it's made like even clearer that he's just this like immovable force without having to be an immovable force.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
I genuinely like if they don't do some kind of like best side character and something like that, or like best like support role, if Atreus didn't win that, it'd have to be Odin, because fuck man, he did such a good job. Yeah. At first I was like, oh, that's an interesting take on him, like
On Odin.
when you first meet him. Yeah, because like he walks in and you're like, I don't know what I feel about you, but I did fucking love the introduction with Thor. That was like great. That was genuinely good. There's a beacon there. What's she doing? Silence. We'll fill the silence.
She's not feeling well. She just got home from work and she asked if we can have takeaways. Because she doesn't want to cook.
Absolutely fucking not. You
Hell
have to
no.
cook.
Get in the kitchen. Of course, we'll get takeaway.
We got leftover pizza. We got pizza last night.
I know, you're really tired. Go sit down. You look exhausted. I got you chips. They're on the bench.
You did a fantastic job today, Megan.
Marcus says you did a fantastic job today. You do sound rough. Go relax.
Yeah, go sit down.
You got wrapping paper. All right. Yeah, your sister's thing's on the couch. I said thing! And I don't think your sister watches this.
She watched once and she might be creeping.
Okay, well, I said thing. I said thing just in case. She got her a very expensive... I'm not going to say what it is. Wait, what were you going to say? Can you paint Marcus a picture of what? Do you want a painting?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You should see my paint.
I'll take photos, put them in
Send
Discord.
some. Yeah, get Vic to send me some photos.
Yeah, I'll put them on Discord.
I'm good at painting.
You are.
You can definitely paint me a photo. I'll put it up behind.
Yeah, you can put it on the wall.
Yeah.
You still haven't done one for me yet.
What do you want?
No, she's got to do my one first.
Oh yeah, Marcus. What color do you want?
You know what? Yellow is my favorite color. So
Yellow
we'll go
is
with
his favorite color. Can you see her little thumb?
I can't.
Thumbs
Oh
up.
yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Thumbs up.
Why is your
Size-
wrist in a
size
brace? What'd you do?
Because I heard it
Oh Jesus Christ.
We got carpal tunnel from no scoping some fools, eh?
Rough day.
Go on. Go relax, eat your chips.
I feel like my feet are gonna fall off.
Why are you standing up? Go sit down. Jesus Christ! That's so loud.
So fun.
Whose favorite color is yellow? Mine, you fool.
My thumb in comparison to
You have a small hand. Alright.
It's tiny.
Tiny hand.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Good to see you. I know. This is what you do when you're tired. You start being weird.
That being
That's
the
true.
cuckoo bananas.
Literally jumped. Yeah, I jumped as well. It's so loud.
I jumped too.
Yeah, you did. What were we talking about?
We were talking about Odin.
Odin.
How did you find the final fight?
I was far too strong.
I agree. The only things that were catching me were the AoE, like the stuff that you put on the ground. And I was like, I just want to get you faster, and so I'll run through it, and then get like iced, and then I won't be able to move fast enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think it could have, like, I get why the hard stuff is optional.
Optional for sure, because like they made it pretty clear that they wanted to tell a story with this game, and if they lock the story behind difficult stuff, it's going to have the same kind of add-on effect that what are those fucking games called that I beat all of them?
Souls.
The Souls games have, where people are like, I want to play them, but they're too hard, you know? And like, I don't think they want to do that. I think they want to make these as accessible as possible to people.
But yeah, it's I think, holy fuck. Sorry, she just showed me what she bought her sister. She's not listening. 100% she's not listening. How much was that again?
It was supposed to be fun.
So apparently there are hair straighteners.
I think I froze.
You're back. Apparently there are hair straighteners that are $450.
Trust me, I fucking know, and that is because I got Izzy one. So you know.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's
not for this Christmas, like 2 Christmases ago. But
oh well, yeah. Her sister is a hairdresser.
So she could use it for work. So you got her work stuff for Christmas?
It's a joke, because I know you might get offended. He said, "You got her work stuff for Christmas?"
Oh, that's not her job.
No, well, it's not. Obviously, it's not her job.
Wait, you
But
guys
she
know
does.
that's not her job. She works for
Well, she works in claims. Yeah. Very nice.
Dyson hair straighters. I got a Dyson.
It's a GHD one.
Yeah.
Look at this. It comes in like a velvet box.
Yeah.
It's
So the
cute.
one that I got is the same, but she had to throw the box away because the dogs fucking
Oh, the dogs
ripped it
at
up,
the
and
box.
then they
Marcus
started getting,
Yeah, they're good.
and then they started getting like the velvet like stuck in their throats, so we just had to get rid of it.
Yeah, so they got rid of it.
Yeah, we had to get rid of it.
The dogs kept eating it.
Speaking of dogs, look at
Luke is here. Look at
Can
Tim.
I see?
look at Tim. Come here. You want to say hi?
I hear him. He's pattering around.
I want to see him. He's so cute.
What's up?
I want
What's
to.
up?
Howdy,
Wait.
stranger.
Howdy, stranger. Why is he not borking?
Because I've got him.
He looks like what?
He would look good in a hat.
Like a little.
He'd look good in a hat.
the
Hey,
hat
a cowboy hat?
like Paddington, or even a cowboy
No,
hat.
no.
Oh,
Cowboy
like a
hat.
cowboy hat, or like a Paddington, like the like,
rain hat?
rain hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we buy
Hey.
him a hat?
Thank you.
I want to buy him a hat.
Have you not seen the dogs before?
No.
That's Luca, and then there's another one, Ivy.
He's so
You wanna-
cute.
Here, let me grab Ive.
Can you hold them both at once?
No.
They don't.
I would if they weren't so like bitey at each other.
But that one would also.
She's
look
sleepy.
Like
Yes. They're both sausage dogs, which I know that you like.
He said they're both sausage dogs, which he knows you like.
they could.
Hello, motherfucker.
They could both wear hats at the same time. Although, look, so smushy. Oh my god. Oh, I want.
She's sleepy. I don't know why.
Knackered.
doing
It's
so.
been a rough week.
Hey.
I want to die.
Good girl. Anyway.
She's done with the day.
a detective hat, yeah.
A detective hat.
And a coat.
A coat.
A little trench coat.
When we get a dog, you can buy the dog clothes. I don't know how I feel about clothes on dogs, but
No, but
Luca
like,
doesn't Luca doesn't mind clothes, like putting on like we have like a sweater for them, but she gets a little bit like, I think claustrophobic might be the best way of putting it, and she'll like either just deal with it or she'll get like her like paw stuck in trying to take it out.
This mad side eye.
He has the biggest side eyes, honestly. Sometimes I'll stand there and she'll just be like, and just like stare at me.
Joe's Goat _71 says Vok, but you can dress the dog in your favorite football team's jersey.
Butter.
True.
Look at him. Luca's got humongous ears.
Ivy's got big ears.
Like, yeah, Ivy's got big ears, but like Luca's are like significantly bigger.
You can put ear holes in them.
We could do that. Right, do you want to go see your mum? You are watching her as she's leaving. Would you like me to put you down? Alright.
Go wrap your gifts, you silly.
At some point...
We'll get a dog when we are allowed.
At some point, you guys will have to come over and meet them, but yeah.
I've seen them once when I went to get Marcus, and they were on the deck just going...
Oh, well, Ivy was. Luca was just staring at you guys.
Oh, yeah, true. It's like sad at how cute they are.
I'll send you some photos that you can show her.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. But back to the
what were we talking about? The fight. The fight.
Yeah. So I agree that I wish it wasn't so easy, but also
like I wish it was a bit
why.
harder, but at the same time I understand why. And there's other fights that are meant to be hard, which are the
gun fight that I did, like because I like didn't realize that was what I was running into. So when I fought her, I was like, oh, this is actually not like this is hard. This is difficult. It's like one of those things where you're just like, okay, she kind of moves the same way that the Valkyries did in the previous game, but like she just hits harder. And then when you start to realize the pattern, you're like, yeah. And then halfway through the fight, or like there's
it's
a point
like
where
the last
she switches,
quarter.
Yeah, she like switches up entirely, and that just as soon as she did that, it like wiped the floor with me, and I was just like, okay, cool, I will come back later. But yeah.
I would get to like the last 2 or 3 sections of her health bar every time, and then just get fucked.
Yeah,
I tried like quite a lot on No Mercy, but then I had to drop it down. And even then, when I dropped it to Balanced or whatever the next one is, it still took me ages.
Yeah.
And then I see TikToks and shit of people killing her in like less than a minute with these crazy builds.
Like, is it just? It must just be like I'm going to use this item in conjunction with this item in hopes that like the perk procs at the right time, and then I would.
Yeah, there's what are they called? Artifacts or runes, whatever.
Oh
you can equip like 9 of them.
Yeah.
There's like things of those where if you've like if you do like a charged up attack, like if you push triangle and then R2, it has like a chance to do more damage based off of one of your stats, and then there's another one that also does the same based off another stat.
Because for a while before, like I had all 9 and was using 3 of each like realm so that I could get the perk bonus as well. I was using one where it's like based off of your defense, like you get an additional like thing of rage, and because my defense was the highest my highest stat, I was getting like actual like and quite a decent increase in all of that sort of stuff. But have you put on a one of each realm yet?
No, I've put on, well, for the whole time I've had 2 groups of 3 from different realms, and then 3 of the random ones that do different stuff. That's how I did it the whole game.
Yep, because I did for a while, took like all 9 were just like groups of 3, so that I got the perks like straight away. But there's a secret perk that you can get that's uh, if you put in each slot from each realm, like one from each realm, you get a perk called, like, you can proc a perk. I can't quite remember how you do it, but it's called the 9 Realms, and it basically just gives you a buff to like everything for like 9 seconds. But it's not like consistent like the rest of it. It's like a low perk chance. But yeah, I need to play around with a bit more of that stuff, because I'm at the moment I was just like, oh, that's cool that that's a thing, but it doesn't happen often enough for me to use it. So I'll just stick with the my attacks cause more stun, and
Yeah, like the whole game I was just playing with like high luck. That was my build, like the whole game.
I was fucking loaded at the end of the game. Like I had bands. like I had so much hack silver. It was like,
I think even
ridiculous.
now I've still got like 2 million.
I think I've got like 4.
It's like it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. And like the only thing that I spend money on now is resurrection stones. Like I don't spend it on anything else because I don't need anything else. But I was at one point was like, you know what? I've got the money. I'm just going to make every single armor. I don't want to.
Even though you were muted, I could still hear that.
Yeah, it's like I just ended up buying everything because what else am I going to use it for? It'd be interesting if there was like a perk that you could get that was based on your like amount of money, like per.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like per like 100,000, you get like a 1% increase in like your.
That'd be crazy.
Something, that'd be super interesting, because then you just farm. You just go through and be like, yeah, cool, I'm gonna fight all these dudes.
But let's
yeah.
Well, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about for that bit?
No, I think we're gonna move into the same thing that I want to talk about.
I was gonna say let's focus in a bit more on like the story.
Yep. So
you go. What do you want to talk about?
So there were two parts in particular. No, 3 parts in particular that fucking hit me like a truck. But one of them more than the rest of them.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
Holy shit! Michael actually gave me a fright. That gave me I just think, whoop.
You don't even hear it though.
Thing.
I hear it.
No, that's why I just thought this. Hey, Vsauce here. But there were 3 parts that really like got me in terms of story stuff. You mentioned as well that you had some bits that you were like, man, this was difficult.
There are I also have 3.
Yeah. So the one that got me the hardest. Hello, Steve. The one that got me the hardest by far was when Atreus is coming back from Asgard and the tree is getting attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And after you close the realm tier and you like Kratos is like standing there, he turns around and Atreus is like, he's looking for Atreus, and I was like, oh fuck, what's happened? And then like you see him, and then he like Atreus is like, oh, like I'm dead, I'm sorry. And then Kratos just hugs him. That bit right there, I just instantly was like, oh, and so I was like, what am I doing here? And that got to me so hard. I was just like, I genuinely didn't know how to react to it, and so I was just sitting there like, fuck, holy shit, like that hit more than the end. But I think that hit more than the end because that's the first time that had happened in the series, So I was... that caught me off guard. That was my big one. What was your big one?
I don't know. There's one small one, and then 2 which I feel like are essentially the same moment. but it's at the end where he's like, where Kratos, like, his voice breaks and he's like, Loki will go.
Yeah.
I was like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. Atreus remains there.
And then they did the little head thing, and I was like, fuck's sake.
Yeah,
but then
that one was rough.
Rough. I wept. And then when he walks around the back and he opens it up, and then he sees like that he's now worshipped.
He's there, yeah.
And like he starts, I was like, fuck, because it's like, it's one of those things where you don't really think about it that much. Where it's like that's all he's really wanted is to be like a respected and like loved god, and now he kind of is. And then even when he's walking over to Freya and Mimir, and they're like, "What did you see?" and he's like, "A path that I never could have imagined." And like he is now essentially the new All Father. But but the small one was when after you finish in Helheim, when Atreus turns Garm or whatever into when he puts Fenrir in.
Yeah.
And then they're like sitting there by the gate, and then they have a conversation, and then Atreus is like, in like a jokingly way, he's like, "Be better." He says the quote from like the first game.
Yeah.
And I was
he's
like, fuck.
He's because Kratos apologizes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry. Be better." Yeah.
And then I feel like I remember he like kind of laughs, like Kratos is like, and I'm like, fuck, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it was the end, the like 100% the end where like they have the conversation in front of the mural.
Yeah.
And then like it's very clear, like just the level of character development that both of them have gone through, but Kratos especially, because it's weird. Like before 2018, it's like angry bald man.
Yeah.
Even though if you paid enough attention to the games, he was always more than that. But
there was a deeper dive.
But it was always like Kratos is just angry bald man. But now it's like, nah, man, he's dead. But yeah, it were those moments.
There's a. So the end was my other one, but one of the ones that I've kind of already touched on it, but it's the one where he's like, kind of just stripping the armor and like dropping the sword, the blades and everything like that. And he's just sitting there, and you see him like, because like throughout the entire like thing, whenever he's like alone and he's like realizing what he has to do, like how he has to go about doing things, and you just see like him quivering, like his whip.
Joe's Goat _71 says the true question though I've seen on TikTok though, who wins young Kratos or old Kratos, Ghost of Sparta versus God of War.
And I like every time that happened, I was like, this man is suppressing all of his emotions. I do that. That's what I do. I know that feeling. And so I was like, those parts got me quite a bit. But there was what was it? A really solemn bit that it wasn't like, it was emotional in a sense where I was like, that's cool that happened. And it's with Brock when he gets him to bless.
Fuck, I forgot.
How did I forget? When he gets him to bless the
that was cool.
Thing, and like that is compared to like the small little people with little problems to moving to something like that was very moving. But the idea of him becoming the All-Father, it's there's that bit where Odin shows up, and I think it might be in Svartalfheim, where he shows up and he's like, "Do you know what it's like? Like, do you know what it's like to be loved, like by you, like to feel that love?"
After you get the spear,
and he's like Kratos just doesn't reply, but the answer is because like the reason he doesn't reply is because it's no. The answer is no. I haven't. And for him to all of a sudden feel that is very, very close. Close my window.
Yeah, all good.
But yeah, yeah, full fucking whipped with that hug, that original hug, that really caught me off guard. Which is kind of funny, but also kind of like silly because, like, of course he'd forgive him. Like, of course he would, because he's changing.
No, but you, it's one of those things where like you know Kratos, like you wouldn't expect him to do, but
and
because of
he says throughout as well that he's upset about what's happened.
Yeah,
and like beforehand, it's literally the bit where he's like stripped himself of the gear and he's doing the punch. And then the next scene following up there after you beat, Atreus's section is that part, and you're just like, far out, yeah. Well, he's a false god in Asgard. That's the thing, and technically, he's also a false god.
He's also like he's not a god anymore.
Yeah. What did you think about the rage stuff that they give you?
That was cool. The first time where they're like, when they first introduced the second Spartan Rage, I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Like, and then I was wondering how many more of these are they going to get? And then ultimately there's 3. The one I used pretty much the whole time after getting it was the one that heals you.
Yeah, same. But I think that was probably because we were playing on a harder difficulty. So healing was more important than like the additional damage that you were getting from Wrath or from Fury.
Yeah, and it was also good. I don't know how often you used it in like the way where if you time it right, it's also a parry and then it gives you additional damage. So that as well as healing you, I was like, fuck yeah, that's like
it also
easy choice.
It also broke stun as well.
Yeah.
So whenever I missed like either a dodge or a like parry, if it like stunned me back and I was like,
just quickly no,
if I held up the shield instead of parrying a green attack or something, I was like, cool, just boost it back up and good to go. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool addition to it, and it like made sense as well that they added stuff like that.
Was it, which one is the one that does like huge damage?
Yeah, it's like
is it Wrath or is that Wrath?
Yeah,
I used that on Nah. I had to use that on Nah because it's fucked. But the Valor one was the one I used pretty much the whole time.
Oh, so you'd suggest using Wrath on her?
I would suggest using Wrath on her because it's like if you time it with when you've like powered up the weapon and you do the right attack, it will do a significant chunk of damage.
Okay, all right, cool. That's good to know.
But if you like, it took me a while because I'd been using Valor the whole time. It took me a while to get used to it, but that's what I ended up using to beat her. But it's still like every time I fought, I got into the pattern where it's like I know what to do at the beginning, and like I would get 3/4 of her health down really easy, and then that last bit was always just like, now I'm rolling the dice on what's going to happen, and then eventually I did it. But I didn't even feel like I earned it. It was just like that was luck, like that was pure luck that I did it that time.
Well, that's why it's because you're building a luck build. So
well, I changed. I changed because I couldn't do it. I changed to like I went pure. I would recommend killing the Berserker King before doing her because of the relic you get, but I changed builds to the time warp, whatever it's called, and started doing that instead.
Yeah. I think maybe I might build into that more because I've been using that shield like I mentioned.
Yeah, because there's the shield, there's the relic that can do it, there's one, like I don't know if it's a gem or whatever, or if it's one of the armor pieces where like when you
there's an armor piece that if you dodge,
there's the dodging one,
and
there's also one where like if you charge up your weapon, it does another one. So that's what I did. But tier.
Oh, fuck that. Oh God, that genuinely made me upset. Like I was like, this is fucking miserable. Why did we do? Why did they? And like, it sucks because there was so much like obvious stuff that I should have seen it coming.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, did you have any inkling that something was off with him?
Almost as soon as like he started being like, yeah, go, like we can do it, we'll do it. I was like, oh, I don't.
So it wasn't until like
this.
you were sort of meant to find out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I figured there are a few instances where I was like, oh, like it's kind of weird that it's like he's like this, but I gathered it was just like for the sake of doing that. But they also, like, I know a bit of the mythology, and I know that Tyr is meant to only have one arm because Fenrir eats it off. And I don't believe there's any mythology around him growing his arm back. So I should have put 2 and 2 together for a little bit.
Well, have you done this stuff at the Raven Tree?
I haven't got all the ravens yet.
No, there's like more than just the ravens. There's like
I remember them talking about a lady.
Oh, you haven't even done it.
No. You spoil it. It's fine because
You
I'll
sure?
be doing it tonight anyway.
The Snaptrapper says if this only going to be a chatting stream, honestly could be a podcast.
We do a podcast, but this one is just purely around God of War.
This is our podcast. So we
Essentially.
do this every other week, but tomorrow is going to be a busy day, I think, for both of us.
Yeah.
So we decided to do this now, so that we weren't doing it while drinking. Or at least while I was drinking. But we do a podcast, dude. Here's the YouTube channel. I'll show you.
Yeah, pop it in.
Yeah, I'll grab it. Give me 1 sec. But yeah, what? Sorry, where were?
I can't remember if you need to do a certain amount of things first. Like maybe it's the pieces of Asgard or whatever. If you maybe have to do all of those.
I've
first.
done all of those.
Okay. Go to the Raven place.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, there is a prison from Asgard which has landed there, and there's some stuff to find. I'm not going to say what you'll find.
Okay, cool. Right.
Some
Well,
stuff.
because I was just going to go back there once I'd gotten all the last ravens. So I've literally got 2 ravens to go.
Okay.
Before I've got the thing, so I can do that probably in the next, like, after this in like 10 minutes.
If
I know
once
where
you might be all good now though, but because I got all of the ravens, that was like the first thing I did after I finished the game. There's like a boss fight after you get all of them.
Oh,
And
cool. Makes sense.
It's fairly difficult, but it's no nah.
Okay.
But yeah, there's something to do at that place to do with a prison
Cool.
from Asgard.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I haven't beaten all of the.
I can't remember. I remember
last
someone
Berserker-
Joe's
talks
Goat
about
underscore
it,
71 says Vak, I'm
last
pissed at what
Berserker
we
is
found. I
in
know
that
what you're
area,
talking
and
about. I thought that was a
there's no other way to
100%
get in
achievement
there
thing.
outside of, like, no other doors to the Raven place than the one that takes you straight to the tree. So I
Oh, have you not
haven't beaten. I haven't beaten that last. I must not have beaten that last Berserker then, before the king, unless the king is in.
No.
Okay.
Oh, what? I can't remember what you need to do to get the seed to go to that other door.
I know that. You can go there, like you walk past here as Atreus and you see it.
Yeah,
with Thor,
but because at the end, you got all the baby Needhogs for the what the fuck? I can't remember his name. Ratatoska.
Do you
Ratatoska.
the worm things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got all them.
And have you got? Because he wants something else, right?
The stags.
Yeah, have you got those?
I've got those as well. Maybe I just need. I haven't gone back to Sindri's house, so
Okay.
maybe I just need to go back there.
Because Ratatoska gives you like seeds or something to go. Like he also gives you one so you can go see Angerboda.
The bird, right? The big bird, is that right? No, Angerboda.
No, Angerboda, the giant. Angerboda, the giant? The one that saves Fenrir and like rides into battle?
Oh, yep. Sorry, I was like, what? Who?
you and Freya go, but you can go see her and like you have a really cool conversation and you get to see Fenrir again. And it's great.
I thought I had like done a whole bunch because I can't remember how many achievements I've got, but I thought I was way.
No, these things, like there's no trophy for it.
It's so like it's not fucked, but it's such a like a kind of like I'm like, how did I not realize this? How did I not think to go to these places? But I've also
the prison at the tree I only knew about because someone talked about it at some point. Someone was like, there was a prison in Asgard which has landed in, and then
that's right, at the end of the game when you're walking through the Valkyries or the Shield Maidens now do. Yeah.
So go there.
Because they said that with gone.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That prison has dropped somewhere. Cool. That makes sense.
So there's that. Go do that. Go talk to Ratatoska, and he should give you stuff. Yeah, shuts out. What's his real name again?
I don't remember. Give me
Sun Wong.
Yes. Sun Wong Chu. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, shouts out to him. Have you seen, I don't know if you did it, I never did it. There's like, I saw a TikTok of someone throwing the axe at the chime over and over and over again.
No, what happens?
There's like, if you throw it at it enough, like he has voice lines where he's like, you don't have to do that. He's like,
I'm right here, yeah, okay.
And then
because I've done it before,
eventually,
but not for long.
Eventually he yells at you. It's like, stop throwing it at the fucking child or something.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's good to know.
Because I can't remember. I don't know what triggered it, but there was like, it was earlier than when you're obviously meant to be like, something's off with Tyr. But there was a moment earlier in the game where I convinced myself like Tyr is bad. I was like, Tyr is the one we need. I never for a second thought it was Odin, but I was like, yeah. I don't trust Tyr. Like something's off with Tyr. And then
there was something off about him. Like now that you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, I felt that, but maybe I was just too like.
Oh yeah, I never like focused on it much. I just remember thinking like something's off with Tyr, but I'm not too worried about it. Are you okay if I tell you about the prison?
Yeah, go on.
You find Tyr. The real Tyr.
The real one? Wow, okay. That's fucking cool. That's super, because I thought he was just dead.
No. So, the interesting thing is, you find Tyr, and you also find other cells with, essentially, I think someone talks about it in the game, but essentially, Odin kept prisoners in the cells for people he could turn into.
Oh, okay. Which now makes sense, obviously. Yeah, okay.
And the cool thing is, I never noticed it until I saw a video on it. But throughout the whole game, whenever anyone, like in the subtitles, whenever anyone talks about Tyr, there's the little accent above the Y. Whenever someone says his name.
Yeah.
Whenever he talks to you, there's no accent above the Y. But at the end, when you go to the prison and you find the real one, when he talks, it has the accent above the Y.
That is such a bizarre thing to. Who noticed that?
Someone
noticed. How would you notice that?
Because
wow, that's super interesting, eh?
I was watching a cutscene. I think it's not long after you free him when you're in the world tree, like traveling between realms. Like Atreus is talking to him, and he's like, "So Tyr, blah blah blah." And when he says "So Tyr," it has his name with the accent above the Y. And then when Tyr talks, there's no accent. And like, I never noticed it.
But like, we probably did, and we just didn't like register.
Didn't care. Yeah. But then, when you find the real one, and he talks, it has the accent above the Y.
That's so fucking cool. That's so cool. Fuck. This game's
Yeah, and
so
then
fucking good.
Like Joseph says, after you free him, I haven't done all of them, but you start to run into the real Tier just roaming around. And because like Tier's whole thing is that he's traveled the world. Like he Hold on, let me mute and then I'll keep talking. So Tier's because yeah, he's traveled the world and like he runs into all the other gods and stuff. That's why he's got like all those artifacts that you find in Midgard, where it's like he's got stuff from like Indian gods and stuff from like Pharaoh, or even in the last game, how you go to his vault and there's like all those.
Oh, stuff. And there's all of like the symbols of war from each. Yeah.
So definitely do that. I'm not going to tell you what happens with Angerboda because it's not much, but it's cool. It's really
okay. Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, the Tier stuff was crazy. So when he stabs Brock, did you think Brock's dead, or did you think Freya will save him?
I thought Brock was dead because the knife had Bifrost on it, because it was glowing purple. And I know that like Kratos can live through that and Atreus can live through that because they're gods basically. But like Brock also only had a third of his soul. So my thought was that if death came to him, it would come a lot easier. That was my thought there. Should we talk about that whole thing? I'm really interested to see your take
on what?
Of like just the full 180 that Sindri does.
It sucks, but like I get it.
Fuck it. Yeah, I genuinely was like, oh no, he'll forgive us. Yeah. He'll forgive us. It's okay. And just he never does. Like one of the boys was talking about it, or one of my other mates from Wellington was talking about it, and he was like, I like that he didn't
just go, okay, that's cool,
because like it significantly would have lessened the impact of everything that happened, because when Sindri shows up to help in Asgard and he's like, I actually don't care, like I am fine, I don't need you. And and it seems like he could have always been like that, but because of it's like scared of germs or whatever. Like,
well,
that's held him back a little bit.
I forgot he was a germaphobe until you said it on Discord the other day.
JoesGoat_71 says, I saw a video of someone playing the game on the hardest difficulty in the final fight where Atreus and Sindri goes with him. Sindri stun locks the final enemy and just beats the shit out of him.
Sindri stun locks the final enemy. Just beats the shit out. Yeah, that's like you don't even need to do anything. I'm pretty sure you can do that entire fight just like dodging, and Sindri will do it for you.
But what was I saying? I've lost my. What was I talking about?
Sindri and
the germaphobe. Yeah. I forgot that was the thing until you mentioned it, and I was like, fuck, because that made more sense, because I was like, oh, he's not wearing his gloves anymore, he doesn't give a fuck. But then I was like, hold on, when you said like he's a germaphobe, I was like, fuck, that's right, like he used to always wear gloves, he used to want everything to be squeaky clean.
There were in the first, because like obviously playing the first game really recently before playing this one, there are points where like he doesn't even hold the axe by the handle, he like holds it like this and like carries it away like somewhere else, so he's not even like actually like holding the axe, he's just like, you know how like you pick up like something that's gross by like the corner and like move it away. That's essentially what he was doing with it. And for him to just turn around and do like a full 360, like it's interesting to me too, because he wasn't with his brother for a significant part of the first game, and he didn't really show those kinds of things. So I don't know, it was a real like, this is fucking miserable, this sucks, this actually sucks.
Well, yeah, because it's like he never showed how much he actually cared about Brock.
Yeah.
Until it was too late. And the part where he tells you that he brought Brock back.
Yeah.
And he could only get 3 parts of his soul. And that we could never tell Brock. And then obviously you go to the mermaid who makes the spear, and then you find out that he finds out that he's been brought back to life. And then it's just, but you said it as well, and I agree, where it's when you go to Brock's shop at the temple in Midgard and his body's on the table, and then Sindri, like, he's like, you're sorry, like, this is sorry, like, all I've ever done is give, like, I've given you everything, and now I've got nothing left. And it's like, when he said that, I was like, fuck. And then he's like, I don't have a family anymore, and Atreus is like, I thought we were his family, and Kratos is like, we were, yeah. I was like, holy fuck.
Oh man, that got me. That right now just got me. I was like, oh man, that.
And then the funeral, where, oh no, but before that, like, when after Brock gets stabbed, and Freya's like, we can't do anything, like, we can't save him. And that's the first time, like, Sindri does not give a fuck, and he shows you him, like, warping away.
Yeah. They're just like, and like, that bit was just like, and you just like see it on his face, and you're like, oh fuck. And he just like, when he teleports, you're just like, Jesus Christ.
And then the fact that they end the game with the funeral, where he's just like, he's still fucking pissed. He's still probably never gonna forgive you for what's happened. I'd like to hope he would eventually. And then he warps away. And then to end it on Mimir figuring out the fucking Brock riddle.
A hole. Man. And it's so relevant because like now Sindri has a hole in him, like missing because of Brock being gone, and I was just like,
and Brock literally has a hole in him.
Yeah, fuck. There was another really, like, as we were talking about that, I was like, oh, there was another bit that really hit me. But I can't remember. It will come back to me. I know it'll come back to me. But
was like, while you try to get that back, what did you think of Heimdall?
Very cool villain. He is a, like, in all senses of the word, like a cartoon villain, and I was just like loving every second of it. But like the one thing that I thought would have been a little bit, was it, I don't know how to word this other than like the one thing that I thought, like, as you started to fight him and as you started to win, like as you started to actually hurt him and beat him, he started getting like a little bit pathetic. And then he kind of turns it around near the end, being like, you don't get to decide my fate. Fate has already been decided. And he still, like, and Kratos still kills him. And I was just like, I wonder what would have happened if you didn't and you just took the horn. Because all you really needed was Galahorn. That's it.
Well, that's the whole point. Is like, because that's why Mimir's like yelling at him or at Kratos, like, this isn't you. Like, you aren't this person anymore.
Well, and then after that, there's the bit where you meet up back with Atreus, and you're like, that was not fate that made that decision. I made that decision. And I thought, actually, that's kind of cool, because like at any point he could have been like, I'm not going to kill you. And actually he did. He was like, I'm not going to kill you unless you make me. And when he blows his fucking hand off, God, that was so epic. I was like, man, that is sick.
But when you're choking Heimdall out and he looks into your eyes and he sees like what Kratos wants to do, and he's just like, monster, and then he kills him.
Yeah.
And then the bit, like, I picked up on it, I don't know if you did, like, where Kratos rolls him over and he goes to grab Galahorn, but he misses. He like goes to pick it up, but it slips because he's shaking too much. And then he gets it on the second go, and then I was like, fuck, like, I thought that was brilliant. And then I was just before earlier today on lunch, I was watching a video, another interview with the director, and he was like, that was Christopher Judge, like he was caught up in the moment, like he was emotional, and he didn't mean to do that, like it wasn't, no one asked him to do that, he did it. And then apparently he walked over after the take and he's like, I fucked it up, like I didn't get it first go. And he's like, we're not doing that again. Like, that was fucking perfect.
The Christopher Judge has he is a fantastic voice actor, a fantastic actor, period. But I watched a video on, it must have just been a really basic TikTok. I'll actually see if I can find it and I'll post it. But it was around he was talking, it's a really impactful scene in like the first game, and as he's like going through it, he's like weeping, like he's crying, but the scene is still going, like the scene is still going through, and then it like cuts to an interview with him, and he's like, this is a love story to my children, because this is what like I didn't get to do, like I wasn't able to do with them. I'll see if I can find it and post it, because it made me sad.
There's it might be part of, you've probably watched it, I've probably watched it 3 or 4 times, the Raising Kratos documentary that's on YouTube.
Let me just bring it up.
Raising Kratos. It's like a full documentary they made on the making of and behind the scenes of God of War 2018. It's one of my all-time favorite like YouTube videos. And
oh fuck yeah, it's 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's
hell yeah, that's so sick.
Good. It's so good. I've probably, like I said, I probably watched it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's like they are doing the director said what?
Whenever I see Christopher Judge, all I see is that fucking gold eye that he had in Stargate.
Teal'c or whatever his fucking name is.
Yeah. I found that video. I'll post it in the Discord as well.
Do it. But yeah, the director said that they're not doing another one for this game, and I was like, fuck. But they have been posting on the PlayStation YouTube channel. They've been that's
where it's showing up on mine as well.
They've been posting like behind the scenes videos every week or so.
There was like a 2 weeks ago God of War becoming Kratos, and it must be around Christopher Judge.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah,
but it's like 2 minutes long.
It's
not the 2 hour experience.
I'm all about 2 hours of fucking content. Don't get me wrong. But I think another thing that I really in terms of this game and like impact was Mimir. Mimir was it's hard to believe that Mimir was only in half of the first game.
True.
Yeah. And like for him to be in this game now, I was like, there are some scenes with him where like even just like the scene with Atreus at the end, and he's like, you are like another father to me, like, and when you don't have Mimir for some reason, I think potentially like Freya has him for something, and you and Atreus, and they're talking about like it's weird not having him, like it's quiet and stuff like that, and then Kratos says something like very kind about Mimir, and Atreus is like, he really is like he is actually a brother to you, isn't he? Like, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
There is something to continue on with that after you kill the Berserker King.
Okay, cool. Because he fucking hates them. Like every time you kill them, he's like, good, fuck him.
After you kill the Berserker King, Kratos and Mimir have like a really cool moment.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. Damn, I can't remember that other bit. That really caught me off guard. I'm trying to I remember, but I can't.
How did you feel about how Thor died?
it was a little bit. It seemed a little bit like this.
Well,
like we do this because we have to, not because we want to. But that game developers. Are
the
saying that.
whole end, like that whole Ragnarok sequence. How did
Yeah.
you feel about it?
Why didn't what was Ragnarok doing? What was actual Ragnarok doing? You know what I mean? There was one other thing that just in terms of this conversation too, with yogurt. What's it, the snake?
Jormungandr.
Jormungandr. And how they're like, oh yeah, like Jormungandr showed up. He was a soul from he was a snake that just kept growing. And
Angerboda.
Yeah,
Agamemnon.
What was that from? What is that from? That's from something else, right? Another show. But she talks about how I've seen the snake around. He's really big, way bigger than a snake should be.
Agamemnon was some Greek thing, so you're not too far off. But
yeah.
How did you feel about Jormungandr? What were you saying?
So the snake that you put the soul into with Atreus, there's this bit where Sindri, the bit where Sindri and Atreus call him, and he's saying that you're familiar. There's something familiar about you. And then when Thing was saying, oh yeah, I've seen the snake around. It's really big. It's growing way faster. And then later on, Mimir's you're just traveling through Midgard with Freya, and she's like, oh yeah, there's still remnants of him around, because his scales are popping out of the ground and everything. And then Mimir's yeah, they did say that the boy that he found the boy familiar, and then I realized what's happened is because it's a cycle. That's what Ragnarok is. It's a cycle. He creates that's just a younger version of Thing. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's very cool. I didn't realize that was what they were going with.
No,
that.
yeah, that is Jormungandr.
Yeah.
I only realized at the end when Kratos was he looks different.
Okay. Now it makes more sense to me. So
yeah,
it's actually
it is him. That's the one that Kratos and they did it so cool. How because in the mythology, obviously, Loki and Angerboda are the parents of Jormungandr.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's how the fuck are
and
two people going to make and Fenrir, so that how are two people going to make a big snake and a big wolf? And they did it really cool, where they both put their hand on the snake's head and it made a heart, and then they turned it, and then at that point I was like, cool, giant and a snake. What does it mean? Didn't think anything of it. Even later on when Angerboda's remember that snake? He's getting real big. I was like, okay, why the fuck do I care? And then it got to the end where he comes to Ragnarok and he's fighting, and then Kratos is he looks different, and Loki's oh, I'll tell you about it later. And that was when I was holy fuck, it's Jormungandr. And then I do wish, because Thor sends him back in time.
Yes. Yeah.
And in the game he does that by just donking him on the head.
Donking him. Yeah.
And I was
being
that's how you're gonna do it. You're not even gonna do something crazy.
The thing is they could have done Fenrir being they could have had them be we need to help him.
Yeah, open
Fenrir,
a realm tier and send him through. Or
Fenrir
whatever.
opens a realm tier, and at the same time Thor just smashes him through this thing, and it just sucks him into the a different area. So that could have been a cool way of doing it. But the with Thor, with that fight with Thor, I was and then the end of it, I was like, what? Given what we know now, what would have changed if they just kept him alive? Would it have been a 4-on-1 match, or did they just kind of have to kill Thor?
I think they had to I do think killing him was the right idea, I just don't like how he died.
Mm.
Like, thinking about it after, like, when he died, like, while I was playing the game, I was like, that sucks. Like, I didn't like it, but thinking about it afterward, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, all Thor's ever wanted to do is, like, impress his dad. Like, all he's wanted to do is do what his dad says and get in his dad's good books.
Mm.
And throughout the whole game, you can see, like, Odin does not give a fuck about Thor. Like, he treats him like shit the whole game.
And he literally says, he's like, that's the only way, like, that's the only way that you can talk to him.
Well, he walks
like,
over
no,
and he's like, you're talking?
That's the only way
like...
you've ever talked to him. So that's why you think that that's the answer. But that's the only way that you've ever talked to him. And, like, you can tell just by the way that Atreus talks to him, that he's like, he won't listen any other way. And Atreus is like, go do the fights, go do the trials, you'll like it. And he's like, okay.
But even
like
at the end, well, because I talked to you about it ages ago when we were playing through it, about how the first time you go to Asgard is Atreus, and you ultimately need to go back to your room. If you go to Thor and Sif's bedroom, you can, like, listen into the door. You can do it a couple times. You can, like, eavesdrop on their conversation.
Yeah.
And you hear, like, the first time they're talking about how they don't want Thrud to be a Valkyrie because they don't like Odin, essentially. Like, Sif's trying to convince Thor that Odin is not good, and, like, he shouldn't be doing what Odin wants to do. But obviously, he's his son. He wants to try and impress his dad. And then it took right up until the end where Thor was finally like, because it made me laugh. And like, when Odin shows up and he's like, he's not dead. Like, you're talking. Why are you talking?
Yeah.
Are you broken? Like,
yeah, because he's not his son. He's not.
He's
like
a weapon.
An equal. He's a tool, and that's all he like. And that's all Odin thought him to be, which is so fucked up when you think about it. And there's that one bit where you start to realize that, like, actually Thor's probably just, like, sad.
Yeah, no, he is 100%.
Yeah, and, like, even during, like, before the bar fight scene where you realize what's really going on, which, by the way, was fucking great.
That was cool.
That was such a cool. That got to the point where I was like, I want to lower the difficulty to the lowest it can go, to just, like, wipe the floor with these guys, not to move through quickly, but
Just
to make
so you
it
can
feel
watch.
more like make it feel more like there's, like, an important, like, task actually happening. But the bit where Atreus is first in Asgard and he meets Heimdall and they're fighting in the mud, and he shoots the arrow and Heimdall catches it and it's become a bit of a meme. Are you going, all right, cool, love you, see you soon? And Heimdall, like, catches the arrow, turns around and, like, goes to be like, oh cool, I'm gonna kill this kid. And Thor just, like, steps in, and it's just like, that's what Kratos would do. That is what Kratos would do. What do you think about Thrud? I can't remember if it's like a THRUD or if it's like THU. Okay, yeah.
THRUD. She was great. Initially I was like, this family doesn't seem to give too much of a fuck that we killed their sons.
Yes.
And that
but
was,
it's like,
a little jarring at first, but then, like, after talking to them and learning more about it, I was like, it kind of makes sense now why they're not, like, obviously Sif was pissed at you, like, pretty much the whole time until the end, which was a little like a, what the fuck, you're friends now, but still,
nice to
like,
me? Yeah,
it was still like, I get it, like, we killed Odin, he was the dick the whole time, but at the same time, like, your husband and sons are now dead, so but no, Thrud was cool. I really enjoyed it. Have you gone to see her after finishing the game? Okay. In
Alfheim, yeah.
I was hoping we get to talk to her, but
I was hoping so as well. But there's a part of me that's like, maybe I'm not sure how. Have you gone back to the thing area, the area where, like you're walking down and everyone's saying hello to you or goodbye to you?
No,
I wonder if going back there, she's like
maybe.
back with Sif, but I don't know. To be honest, leaving it at that, just knowing that she's worthy, was pretty cool. That was.
It's then
very-
she's setting up a city for the Aesir and India. Fruiters.
I thought that was Sif, and the pig.
Oh, maybe Sif's. I haven't been back to Vanaheim yet. But
So if you go back to Vanaheim, it's
Yeah.
Sif and the
I did hear that there was that stuff going on.
Yeah.
No, but I really liked Thrud. It was cool having another mirror character to Atreus in the game,
Yes.
like another kid who's also like a god,
like their and their
and their
dad is
dads
like,
are dicks.
they've got those issues
Angry
with their
dads?
parents. Yeah. It's just left, and you might not be able to hear it, but Luke is crying at the moment.
When you talk, I can kind of hear like whine.
Yeah.
How do the challenges work out? You have to do the symbols in like a certain order.
It's not super clear. But basically, once you've finished all 3 of each
Room.
then you go to the center, and in the center circle, there's a bunch of runes in certain.
I think the sword
orders?
in the middle has the first one, and then there's like 4 circles around the sword that each have combinations of runes, and then at the front there's like 2 big rooms that have symbols on the floor. The center's locked. Have you done the 3 rooms? I think all you need to do is the 3 rooms, and then
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
are you talking about the
Far
swords?
right.
The swords in the 3 rooms? Because there's like 2 challenges in each room. You have to do those first.
Yeah, and then a third one shows up as well for them. You'll figure it out. It's like Mimir literally is like, this is what you have to
This
do.
man just said earlier that even with Mimir's help, it still took him like 3 or 4.
Just watch a
Find a
YouTube
video.
dude.
Yeah, they'll tell
Yeah.
you, or like an
it's
article.
Like, there's no spoilers in terms of that. You're just doing fights.
Yeah.
They're just fights. There are some really fucking hard ones, and that was also another point where I was like, am I going to have to fucking lower the difficulty because this is too frustrating at this point? And it wasn't even the final, like, spoiler, boss rush one.
That was like one of the first ones I did.
Yeah, like I did the one beforehand, the other one in that line, with the elemental thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what was going on with me, but I was just getting my ass absolutely fucking handed to me the entire time, and I was just like, "What do I do? What am I meant to do? Am I just?" That's when I was messaging you. I was like, "This is fucked. What am I? I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know what I'm meant to be doing." But I did it, and I was like, and then I messaged you being like, "Fuck you, you fucking." But it was funny. It was funny. Yeah. What else? I can't remember that fucking.
That's all good.
That I was
I'm sure
thinking
you'll think of it.
Yeah.
Like while this has been going, I've been playing the soundtrack in the background, and so many of these songs I'm sitting here like, fuck, like the music is so good in this game.
So I am generally not too fussed about like music soundtracks in games, so OSTs and stuff. But that's because when I was a kid, I didn't really focus in on that because I was too focused on the games and stuff. But this particular one, because I was playing in the lounge with my headphones and my PlayStation, I was getting that. Like, I was fully getting like the immersion of, using the headphones and everything like that. So there were a lot of things where like tone shifts happen, and you can tell just by the switch in like music. And I was like, oh, so good. So good.
I think the one that stood out the most, well, there's 2 actually that stand out the most. The first one is when you're Atreus and you're with Angerboda, and you like race her when you turn into a wolf. and then Atreus' theme
yeah.
plays. Like the whole time that was happening, I was just like, this is so. Like, I think I messaged you, like, this game's fucking sick. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
And then the other part was towards the end, where before you go to Asgard, where like Kratos does the speech to everyone, and then like the main theme kicks in while he's doing the speech, and I was like, fuck. And then when he blows Galahorn, like that whole part was so sick.
Yes, yeah. Fuck, that was fuck. It's such a good game, honestly. I think, and I think you've kind of mentioned this, I like in the last bit of content, but I genuinely think that this might be my favorite game, like of all time.
And
Now,
it
like,
definitely is up there for me.
yeah.
I've been thinking this since I finished it. Like, I've been trying to like sort of land on what I consider like my favorite game, and like the reason Metal Gear Solid 2 is probably still my favorite game is because I could pick that up any day and play it and like have fun with it. Whereas a game like Ragnarok, now that I finished it, I feel like I'm got once I do all the last little bits, I need to leave it alone for a bit. And then hopefully, I hope they do it soon. I hope they bring out New Game Plus soon.
Yeah, I'll play through New Game Plus.
So I can do that again.
Yeah.
And I'll probably end up streaming that.
That's also probably when I'll stream it too, or at least like, because I still kind of want to play through like the first one, then the second one on stream or something like that. Like maybe.
Yeah, I want to do all of them, or the main ones at least. But
well, you'll be able to because you've got the PS3, right?
Yeah, I haven't plugged it in and checked if it still works properly. But I will do that eventually because I've been watching some videos of the old ones and remembering how much fun they were. But yeah, like I just wanted to say, like the music is fucking it hit. They know what they're doing. They fucking know what they're doing.
Yeah, the composers of that fucking game know exactly what they're doing. They knew exactly what they're doing from the get-go.
Every time there's like an emotional bit, and I'm like, damn, this is good. And then the music's like, and I'm like, fuck.
Like, I think that was probably what got me with the
end.
Like, Atreus, or no, like the Atreus, like when he hugs him for the first time. Because it's silent. It's all that you're hearing is Kratos like calling out to him. And like you're just seeing all of the others like fucked up. And you're just like, Atreus! Boy, where are you, Atreus? And then all of a sudden, like you see him, and then the music cuts in, and it's like, okay, I see. Because I think it actually starts as like almost like is it going to be a speech?
Yeah.
And it like starts as that, and then when he comes up to him, he's like, "I'm sorry, I know I should have," and then he hugs him, and that's when the tone shifts. Fuck, so good. So good.
Very good.
Very, very good.
One other thing, there's probably a couple more things, but one thing I do want to make sure we talk about is your thoughts on when you first saw what Asgard looked like.
I thought it looked like Midgard.
Like, what were you expecting Asgard to look like?
So at first, I think my judgment has been clouded because of
the MCU
media. Yep. But when you see the hall and how it's like it's like a classic like Nordic gathering hall or whatever, I can't quite remember what they're called. I was like, of course that makes total sense that he doesn't have anything like that, but because like his one, naturally it makes sense with like the Aesir and that being a descendant of you know to the
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But then like Odin has this big grandeur thing to him anyway. If that makes sense. So he doesn't need to like flaunt it with a huge fucking building because he's the building, you know? Yeah. I thought that was very cool. What did you think?
When I first got to the top of the wall and it showed Asgard, my first thought was, where's Asgard? Because I saw those buildings, I'm like, okay, there's like a little village down there. Is like Asgard behind all those clouds? Like, is all the cool stuff back there?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, no, that's Asgard. Okay, that makes sense. Because obviously the walls are huge, so I was like expecting this massive city or something. And then when you go down with Heimdall and he's like taking you to the hall, and I think Atreus says something about how he's surprised like not all of the Aesir are gods, and Heimdall's like, we're not all gods. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you even know about the Aesir? And he says stuff like that, and then I'm like, okay, it makes sense. And then again, with Odin being who he is, he doesn't need like big flashy buildings or anything. He's got what he needs, and that's it. So at first I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed, but then after thinking about it, I was like, no, it does make sense why it's just like regular houses and stuff. That's all they
But I think also I think we were both clouded by the MCU.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like, because I was expecting golden arches, fucking McDonald's everywhere, you know, all that good stuff. But like for it to just be normal, because like even in the MCU, there are people who are from Asgard who aren't gods. Like there's multiple people. So it's not an impossible, like, you know, it wasn't an impossible thing to be the way that it was. It didn't feel weird that it was like that.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
The other thing, so I've seen some talk about it online. It didn't bother me at all, but there are some people who are not upset, but they're a little frustrated around the whole mask subplot and how it ultimately went nowhere. Like, Odin spends basically the whole game with Atreus like trying to find this mask, put it together, and figure out what that random tear is. And then I really liked how at the end Kratos was like it's your decision, do what you want to do. And then he just snaps it in half, throws it through, and then it closes, and then that's it. Like, you don't know anything else about what that was, what that could have been.
Yeah.
I didn't really care. I was like, cool. It's just showing that Atreus has made his decision. He wants to be Atreus.
He has literally broken fate. Because the whole point of him joining everything, him being Loki, was a thing that fate had decided for all of them. So for them to move into, like, for him to make a decision that wasn't to look through the thing makes far more sense than him looking through the thing, you know?
Jim Carrey, I was like, is he going to put the mask on and be like...
Well, Loki's one, like...
Yeah, exactly.
One of his things is the mask. It has always been one of the things that he, like, was his part of his, like, not arsenal, but, like, you know, that sort of part of him. And he, like, I don't know why people would be upset by that, but also people are never going to be happy. They're always going to be upset by something. So I guess
I think the main reason people are upset is because it was just used as like a very stock standard MacGuffin, where it's like, this is why Odin's doing everything he wants to do, and that's about it. Even though that's not why. The whole point of Odin is like he seeks wisdom, and he needs to know everything. That's Odin's whole deal. So if, like, again, that's why at the end, after you finish fighting him, and then Atreus is like, you can change, like, you can be better, and he's like, no, I can't. I need to know. And then you put him in the marble. So that leads me to the next bit, which is, what did you think of Sindri just coming in and being like, fuck this, and then smashing it?
I think it was good.
Yeah, I think it was perfect.
I was, when he did it, I was like, there are consequences to killing a god. Very, very like pointed. I was like, uh-oh. But he's also just like, it makes sense that he did that and reacted the way that he did to do that because of everything else that had happened. So I was happy. I was very happy with how that kind of came to be at the end of the day. But I was like, it just it caught me off guard. That's really
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And the one of the best things about it is that no one said anything.
Yeah, they were all like,
Okay.
fair enough. Like,
Yeah.
he killed Brock. Sindri got his revenge.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, that's like one of the main themes of this whole series is about revenge and how ultimately
it
now
doesn't.
Kratos has broken that cycle, but now Sindri's going through that. So that's why you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Sindri of War 2025.
He's a germaphobe. He's a god.
It's just you walking around with a little hammer going ding, and then everything blows
and then
up.
washing, then using hand sanitizer. And he's got like the driest skin in the world because their hand sanitizer dries out his skin real bad.
Did you?
But yeah.
Did you expect Freya to die?
The brother, sorry.
Freyr.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, the moment that we got to Asgard, I was like, yeah, he's gonna die. That, or like, especially when he called Ingrid, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a self-sacrifice thing, 100%. I thought, to be honest, it was gonna be against Thor.
Yeah.
At first.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that he just held back the destruction that was going to happen with Ragnarok. But what did you think about? And I've got real mixed reviews about it. What did you think about the spear?
I really enjoyed it. After getting it, well, the whole process of getting it, where you're with Brock the whole time, he talks, like, you learn a lot more about Brock. You go under the water, and like it's a weapon made for him, and like it's got his own blood in it. Like, whereas like the Blades of Chaos are not for him. Like that's Ares made that, and then forced Kratos to use them.
That's a boon, not a like it is something that is his, but it's not by choice.
Yeah,
he has to,
the Leviathan Axe wasn't his; that was Freya's or Faye's. I mean,
it's a really good point.
Whereas
you've made a very good point now.
the spear like is his. He made it. It is for him, and he talks about it when you're in that fight where Brock's like, or he's like, "Do you know how to use that thing?" And he's like, "All Spartans are taught how to use a spear.
This is the first weapon that we pick up." Yeah.
So that whole process, I was like, "Yep, I'm fucking down. Like, I love it." And then everyone expected you to get Mjolnir at some point, but then you don't. And after getting the spear, I was like, in my head, I'm like, I get it. And after being with after playing as Atreus and being with Thor and seeing him use it, I was like, I get it. Because it's the same thing as the
It's
axe.
the same. They are, when you look at the two of them, they are complete, like, carbon copies of each other.
Yeah. And if you were to use that as Kratos, it's like, it's the axe, but it does lightning.
The axe, but it's lightning damage. Yeah.
So I completely understood. And I was so happy with the spear. It's also just really fun.
Yes. Yep. It felt, if you know, me talking about Atreus being like quick, that's what it felt like with me. I felt like it was a lot.
And having it related, like the way they explained it through lore with Dropnir, I was like, this is fucking perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was I was very, very happy with uh with that. I will admit at the beginning I was like, it's just not as good as the Blades of Chaos or the axe. I just felt like I wasn't doing enough with it. And then like once I started to realize how mechanically it worked, I was like, oh no, it's actually a as much of a projectile as it is a like melee weapon, but on top of that it has that additional like now it does this. Like you can also explode stuff. I still don't quite know what Maelstrom damage does. Apparently
it's just
wind.
yeah, it's wind.
But I assume I like because like obviously fire and on the blades and ice on the axe, like that made sense to me given that that was what they were. But like you don't get any status effects on it, and then I realized after playing for a little while that actually Maelstrom is probably just a status effect sap. That's its like point because you can steal the status effects off people and put it into your weapon.
You can steal their power, and it's also when their health bars, like obviously when their health bars go red, like you use the axe. When it goes blue, you use the blades, and then when it goes black, you use the spear.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
but I really like the spear. Initially when you first get it, I was like, "Fuck, that means we're not getting Mjolnir." And then after thinking about it more, I was like, "Actually, I don't even care."
There was a part of me that thought that what was going to happen was it was going to be like a there's a in the MCU there's a weapon that's basically Mjolnir, but it's a hammer side and an axe side, and I thought that was what was going to happen as like an upgrade to the axe, that the boys were just going to be like give us a sec, book, and then put them together. But I am glad regardless. I was happy with it regardless. Like as much as I appreciate like all of the fucking cool stuff that using Mjolnir could have been, I was happy with everything else. Plus, like Thor's not Thor. Sorry, Kratos like definitely isn't worthy. Like
Joe's Goat _71 says on the point of the weapons, when you guys were talking about how Kratos was resting real quick, sorry to interrupt, he drops the blades to the floor like whatever cause it's the past, and he gently puts down the axe cause it's Faye and Atreus, that part of him the future one could say.
Yeah, Kratos has never been like he's connected to the blades, but like when he throws them to the ground, it's like he's not protective of them or whatever. But when he puts the axe down, he does care about it.
Yeah, because he doesn't drop that on the ground.
He puts it on like the little table
and puts it on the table. Yeah. And like, did you notice where he put his ring? Where he put the ring?
No.
It was on his wedding finger.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so it was on his ring finger. Yeah. Which was quite cool. And I figured that was just like as a reminder.
I do like that.
Yeah. What's this? Were you one thing that I kind of expected, but you know, it maybe I only expected it because it happened in the first game, was another visit from Athena.
I was expecting something to do with the old games, because like there was Athena, but then you also see Zeus in the last game.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed that we don't see anything to do with the last games. I thoroughly enjoyed like the first time you team up with Freya, and you guys, well, Freya hates you, and then throughout that journey, you expose yourself. Maybe not the best word to use.
No, you not let your guard down, but like you get a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, and like he talks about his first kid, he talks about what he did in Greece. Like he shows
Talks about his brother.
Yeah, like because
Yeah.
Freya, he has been trying to tell Freya like he knows what she's going through, like he understands it, and she doesn't believe him. And so when he starts talking about all the stuff that he's done, she's like, "Oh, like you have been through a lot of shit, and this is how you are. So maybe that means I can change." And then ultimately she does. It was great. It was great.
There is one bit that kind of ties into this a little bit around like talking about the past and everything like that. And it's very much like an Easter egg for people who played like the original games and all that sort of stuff. And Mimia's like, "Oh, I heard that you were in like a really big tournament." And he's like, "I've been in many tournaments, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Yeah, but this one you were fighting like a rogue, like an adventurous rogue at like blah blah blah, and like one of the greatest musicians, like a princess and one of the greatest musicians of all time." And he's talking like Parappa the Rapper. And PlayStation All Stars.
What was it called? But yeah, PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah, it's the equivalent.
And he's like, doesn't he say like, "I don't want to talk about it"? Or something?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah,
because no one wants to talk about that.
I don't wish to talk about that. Yeah,
no one cares about that game.
Yeah, that's
forgot about that game. Everyone did.
It was the Sony's attempt at doing Smash Bros.
I remember going to Armageddon the year that came out and playing it, and everyone, like all the people at the PlayStation booth, were like, "Yeah, like this is gonna be the Smash Brothers killer. Like this is PlayStation Smash Bros." And I played it. Like I don't play Smash Bros. I played it for a bit, and I was like, "Okay, like that was pretty fun." But am I gonna get it? No. And then obviously the game ended up not going anywhere. But that reference to it was cool. Did you also notice the Kvasir's poems?
Yeah, they were cool. All Sony exclusives.
Other Sony games,
yeah. Because I read one. That was. I was like, why does this sound so familiar? And it was the poem about Aloy. From Horizon. But I also read there was one that I was like instantly like, cool, this is The Last of Us.
There's another one like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
There's a Ratchet and Clank one. There's like all and even the names of the poems are like very tongue in cheek.
Oh, the nose, yeah.
But that was cool. I really liked that too. But yeah, I mean, did you have a favorite? Oh, look at that. Let's hit him with the ban real quick.
Oi, laugh at him. Everyone go hee hee hee, ha ha ha.
Ban party fresh ihu. See you later, mate.
If it.
But I was gonna say, out of what was your favorite? As we come towards, I'm sure we'll be wrapping up soon. What was your favorite side quest?
I'm just laughing at it, Steven.
Eat shit, dickhead.
My favorite side quest was Freya's getting the sword.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I really like going through all of that, destroying all of the things that like tied her to Odin. Was super interesting. Was really, really interesting.
Didn't Multiverse fall off already?
Yep.
Multiverses, whatever it's called.
Yep. That was probably my favorite side quest. Outside of perhaps like maybe the one with the Valkyrie Queen, not Gnar, but Mimia's partner, where you like you find out that like Mimia set up her brother basically without realizing it.
Sigrun.
And it's in Midgar. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
Midgar. Yeah. And you're just like, he's like, oh, like finding out what I know now only makes me love her more. Like what she had done, like because Kratos was like, "That's weird that you aren't angry about this," and he's like, "Actually, like, if anything, you know."
And then now
but-
when you meet up with her and she's like, "Can I have Mimir?" and you just give her the head. Here
Yeah.
you go. He's yours for the night. Get
like
up.
silly.
I don't know what you guys are gonna fucking
Yeah,
get up to.
you want to hear some silly stories? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, that was quite cool. No, I didn't realize the emote. The hold on. I need to make the. I want.
I can't see the actual chat.
Damn. Hold on. There it is. Ooh.
Oh, the 7TV ones don't float around. Hold on.
No, that cracked me up. It's some monkey going crazy.
I'm gonna have to
Or
go
chimp going
to
crazy.
the actual one.
Or
To go
chimp going
to.
crazy.
Oh, let me mute that. Oh yeah, I added some 7TV emotes. That's right.
Mm.
What
That's fucked. That falling in love one. Do you know what that's from?
is that?
That's I'm pretty sure a dude like committing suicide in Japan.
Damn, that's crazy.
Anyway, back to God of War.
We'll wrap it up. It's almost 8:00.
Yeah.
Overall, like when I used to give reviewing games a go,
Joe's got _71 says one could say that Mimir has WRIS.
one could say
Why are you
that.
crying?
I used to like I don't like giving games like number scores
Mhm.
because like everything's subjective. What are your final thoughts on this game?
A 10 out of 10. There are things that I thought that that would have been cool, or that could have been done better, or all that sort of stuff. But that's just my opinion. Like, and I don't fucking write stories like that. You know, I've never once in my life considered myself an author, or anyone who understands how like that kind of pacing works. But even the things that I was like, oh, you know what, like I'm not too sure about that, like bringing in Seder at the end, I was like, wish you brought him in earlier, but it doesn't matter. Like, him coming in earlier wouldn't have changed the way that I felt about the game. I think it's a 10 out of 10. And I have bumped this to the top of my list of like my favorite games of all time.
Nice.
Right under RuneScape.
Always right underneath.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree. Is it a perfect game? No. Is it a fucking incredible experience from beginning to end? Yes. Would I recommend it to everyone? No. If you played God of War 2018, I would suggest playing this. If you have, like, for both of us, for Joseph and for I would assume quite a significant amount of people playing this game, if you've grown up playing God of War, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it has impacted us in a much better way because of playing the original games and seeing how much Kratos as a character has developed, particularly in this one game alone. So for that reason, I am 100% like fine with saying this is Game of the Year, and will without doubt one of the best games I've ever played. But it's not for everyone. It won't be for everyone. If you haven't played the other ones, I wouldn't even suggest picking it up. But
It's funny because I said to Jeff in like our one-on-one, I was like, he's like, oh, how's everything going? And I was like, oh, I beat God of War and was just weeping. And he was like, oh, and I was like, good weeping. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, I have spent almost 20 years with this game. Like, for it to be rounded up so neatly in a bow for me, that is a huge thing. That's massive for me. So I completely agree. But it's also one that like I couldn't go and tell Joe to go play it, or like even like Hugh, because these guys played on Xbox, so they wouldn't have interacted with it as much as I would have. They also didn't play 2018. So
Wouldn't recommend.
yeah. I'd say if you're interested in it, watch someone like talk about it instead of playing it, because you're gonna have to buy a PS4 and go through that whole process, or PS5 or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. There was something else I wanted to quickly talk about, but it's gone. Fuck. Oh, it was there. Now it's gone again. Fuck, we talked about it, and then I in my head I was like, "Oh, we'll save it for the podcast." Hold on. I'm gonna have to look at our chat on Discord and see what we've talked about.
I really doing this. We should have like taken notes throughout this.
We should have.
Like, I would have talked about this. Like hindsight's 2020, right?
Exactly. Fuck. I've gone blank. I can't think of what we're going to talk about.
I still can't remember.
Well, just based like with what Joseph's most recent comment is, I think that is like, I'm not a dad, but it has it, especially the end. I think on some level, it did make me think of my own relationship with my father. So I think that's also why it hit me. But outside of that, it was just a fantastic ending to the game.
Yeah, I touching on again what Joseph has said. Like we like, I joke about it a lot, so it's not a big deal. But like my old man has been not a huge part of my life, and the parts that he is there aren't always positive. So it was like I it's not that I was like, I want Kratos to be my papa. It was more of a, I understand, like I hadn't known the kind of like, because Kratos, although is not a good father, is above all else a protective one, and all he wanted to do was make sure that Atreus was safe, even if it meant like not showing emotion towards him or anything like that. There's like a fucking amazing scene in the first one where they go to Alfheim for the first time, and they're like coming back from the like getting the light stuff, and Atreus is like you even care about like mother anyway, and he's like, do not mistake my lack of my lack of emotion for lack of grief or whatever. And that there is like that was like super impactful, because it reminded me of a lot of stuff, and then to see the growth happen in this game was like, this is what I understand, I get it. And I was like, when I inevitably become a father at some point, I'm not going to say I'm going to base my looking after my child after Kratos, but I think it's like a very like, and Christopher Judge even points it out. He's like, this is something that I wish I'd done more for with my children. So yeah, really just a very, very impactful, very, very solemn, and kind of like, without sounding like sappy, very sweet ending to it all.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say as well. So I think I couldn't see anything on Discord, but I think we might have talked about it at work. I've seen people online talk about where they want Kratos to go next, and I think we're both in agreement that he shouldn't go anywhere.
He does. I genuinely believe that is the end of Kratos' story.
I hope it is. If it's not, I trust Sony Santa Monica to do a great story with why he's gone to another group of gods, but the way this game ended, the way the last like half of this game is set up, it's like he doesn't want to do this shit anymore.
Yep. I think genuinely, I think the only way that they're going to bring him into another fight with gods is if they come to him. And it'd be a situation where they would come in and take Atreus, they'd take Freya or something like that, and just be like, you want them, come get them, kind of beat. And if they do that, if they decide to do that, then like you mentioned, I'm sure Sony Santa Monica will do a fantastic job. But if they didn't touch the IP for the rest of my life, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I think if they're gonna do a continuation story, like I mentioned, I feel like they'll do an Atreus situation where it's kind of like Miles Morales, where it's like not quite a full game, but it's like following on from what had happened previously. But who knows?
And even that, like I agree. I would like to see more with Atreus, but I do think that's me being selfish in just wanting to know. If they weren't to do it and just leave it open that right now Atreus is out there trying to find some giants, that's also fine. Like I would be fine.
They could even do something where it's that reminds me of the bit where he's like, are you scared? Like, are you frightened of doing this? And Atreus is like, yeah. And he's like, then you need to.
Then you have to.
Yeah. I think that was what I wanted to talk. That was the bit that I wanted to talk about because it was really close to the Loki goes and Atreus stays. But if they did that, I think there are other ways to tell that story.
Yep.
They had done you had mentioned it as well, a comic book around like Kratos leaving Greece. There could be that could be a one shot thing.
Yeah, comic, short story, something. Just talking about what Atreus is.
Even like, you know how I know it didn't work as well, but you know in Final Fantasy 15 how they did Kingsguard?
Yep.
The anime for that, something similar to that, but this is me just like grasping at straws because I want to know what's going to happen. That's the kind of thing about this.
100%.
So, but if they left it here for the rest of their life, I would die happy. I want to, I know it's like every time I'm like, amazing game. I want a tattoo of it. Like there is a part of me that really wants something to like just have in not commemoration, but like a very like hey like nod to the game because it has been so important, for the last however many years I've played it.
Because one of the, I say one of it, so as if I'm gonna go get a lot, but I do want tattoos of like weapons from different games or different anime and stuff that like I've always really liked, and the Blades of Chaos are definitely one. And one of the things I've asked my sister to get me for Christmas is these. I found them on Etsy. There's a lot of them, but there are keychains that are like high quality, made of metal, and there's like Blades of Chaos, and I've asked for a couple of those, but I don't want to put them on my keys. I want to hang them from my rearview mirror in the car.
Oh, that's very cool.
So that's what I'm gonna do.
And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that I was being like, haha, you spent $900 on this game. But I'm so fucking gutted that I didn't. I genuinely wish I did. And to be perfectly honest, if they did like another drop of it, I'd buy it again.
You can, not the same one, obviously, but there are people making similar ones. I don't know what they're made of on Etsy. Like people are making these, but they're still quite expensive.
Yeah, I am a bit gutted, and especially because like even the dice that came with it, like, that's very cool. Yeah,
maybe I'll play D&D one day.
Maybe I'll DM and we can play D&D with other people. Who knows?
We'll see.
The world is our goddamn oyster. Well, look, it's hit just gone 8:08. What do we think? Should we call it here?
For sure. Play the
Good,
game if you've played the others.
Yeah,
If you have the means to.
I'm going to go play and do all the bits that you told me about.
Yes.
And I will post in the Discord when I finish it. I do like everything outside of probably the collecting stuff for like the platinum. I'll do that in some other spare time.
Yeah, that's what I'm slowly working my way through now.
But hey, fucking good job. Do you have any recommendations, or do we want to end it here?
Oh, I did have one. Oh, have you been watching My Hero?
No, I have not.
Fuck. So
Is it, okay,
cool. I haven't been either. And then
Yep.
this morning, my sister messaged me like, "Have you been watching My Hero?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "You need to catch up on My Hero."
Okay.
And so today I've had it going while I've been working, and fuck, it's fucking good. So that's my recommendation. Is anyone watching My Hero or behind on My Hero, catch up?
I have
My Hero Academia
also,
for anyone not sure what I'm talking about. The anime.
I've also seen that they've released the English dubs or the first 6 episodes of the English dub for Chainsaw Man, which means I can finally jump back into it because I found it very, very hard watching it in Japanese. Eat my dick. I can't read. Fuck.
Yeah.
So I am happy that they're doing that. And then My Hero, knowing now that that's coming out as well. Like, oh god, and Mob Psycho, everything's fucking coming out, and I'm super stoked. And I'm gutted that they didn't do a thing for Attack on Titan yet, but hopefully that comes out soon.
Yeah.
My recommendation is Nakey Jakey's album. It's fucking
and
amazing.
that too. Fuck, I've been smashing that.
It's like the only, like at the moment it's like Matt Watson, because so Matt put out See You Then, the album that I suggested, and then Ouch, his original album, he did a deluxe version of that, and so he's just released more music, and so it's just Nakey Jakey, Matt Watson. My Spotify Wrapped sucked this year because I used my Spotify at the beginning of my streams, so
that's why I stopped doing it last year.
Yeah, best believe that I'm going to switch that up this time. And I'll
last year
like,
my number one artist was Stream Beats, and I was like, god damn it.
My number one artist was Kato, which is the
I think Kato's in my top 5 as well.
Yeah. It's the lo-fi anime beats. So yeah, cool. That's us. I'm fucking starving, so I think it's about time we wrap things up. Shot for coming through, everyone. You guys are fucking awesome. Keep up the amazing work.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for all the support, Lucid, Joseph, Stephen, Scott for the raid, everyone else who's come through. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care.
Will do. Deuces. Boy.